Hello Year 4, it's Mrs. Plews here with your English lesson for Thursday the 25th of February. So we are carrying on with our non-chronological report unit today. Just wanted to start by saying well done. You've really started to learn the model text really well, and you did some brilliant work in the last lesson with Mrs. Cross planning out that model text, okay, into the different sections. So you might like to pause the video here, just have a look back at what you did with Mrs. Cross in the last lesson, which was Tuesday, and see if you can add any extra details in. Okay, so have a look back at your plan. Are there any details you've forgotten, anything you want to add in now? And just remind yourself about the text because we're going to be looking at it in more detail today. Okay, let's remind ourselves of our target for the term then. So for our target work this term, we're going to be thinking about paragraphs and using them to organise our ideas around a theme. It's a really good target for this unit because organisation is really important in non-chronological reports. So it's a really good way to remind ourselves about paragraphs and how to use them. Okay, just to start then, to build on that knowledge of paragraphs, I'm going to play a video to you. So watch the video carefully because you're actually going to be completing a quiz afterwards. Okay, so I'll share the video with you now. It's all about paragraphs, so listen carefully and hopefully it will remind you and help you learn a little bit more about paragraphs and how to use them.
Jeff and Janine here, coming to you live from the opening ceremony. Oh, and yep, I think the crowd have lost interest, Janine.
Classic mistake here, Jeff, is not use paragraphs.
Why don't you break it down for the viewers at home, Janine?
Well, Jeff, it's often easier to read something if the writing is split up.
Ah, yes, sentences grouped together are paragraphs.
That's right, Jeff. And each paragraph starts on a new line and is usually about one idea or theme.
Wow! Now for any of you at home, that's how you make an opening speech.
Textbook, Jeff. Textbook.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed that video. Hopefully it's just jogged your memory about how we organise our writing into paragraphs according to a topic that we're writing about or an idea, as it said in the video. And it helps people to read our writing, doesn't it? Okay, it makes it much easier to read. So paragraphs are really important, and particularly in our non-chronological reports. So as I said, there's a little quiz for you to complete here, okay? Now the link for this is on the daily plan for today. I won't do it with you now because obviously you'll want to do it yourselves and see how you get on. If you follow the link, there's lots more information on that page about paragraphs as well. So if you'd like to spend a few moments having a look through the information, you can watch the video again if you want to. It's also on that page. Scroll down to the bottom and there's the image that you'll see for the quiz. Okay, so you can take the quiz and let me know how you get on later. So that link, as I said, is on the daily plan for today. So pause this video, go and use the link on the daily plan and then come back and press play again to carry on with today's lesson. So let's have a look at our walt. So walt is to identify the structure and features of a non-chronological report. Okay, so we're getting really good at learning our text. So we need to now think a bit deeper about the structure and features of the text, okay? And that will really help us when we come to start writing our own. So here's an example from the text. This is an extract. I'm actually going to change the screen so it's a bit clearer for you to see because I know it can be tricky to see the writing at home. So there we are, a little bit bigger for you there. So this is an extract from the non-chronological report. Now I've already read through the first couple of paragraphs here and I've highlighted some of the key features. So let's have a look at my highlighting. I wonder if you can identify what features I've highlighted. So we'll have a look at my colours. I've got my key over here, but I haven't said what each colour represents, and that's your job to see if you can spot, okay? So I've highlighted in yellow just the Romans, nothing else. I wonder what feature I've highlighted there. So if you're working with somebody at home or you're together in school with our key work group, you could have a discussion about these highlighted bits and see if you can identify what feature it is. So do pause the video as and when you need to. If you're working on your own, don't worry, just think to yourself, and then we'll have a look at the answers in just a moment. So in yellow, I've highlighted just the Romans, which is right at the top of the piece of writing, and it's underlined and it's got capital letters as well. So I wonder what feature that might be. Let's go on then to my purple highlighting. So here I've highlighted Romans were powerful and determined people, Roman reign, invading countries, building towns, growing their empire and creating impressive armies, founded in 8th century BC, Romans then invaded Britain in 43 AD, building roads and forts, the Romans built many towns, Roman towns were all laid out in the same way, and straight streets shaped in a grid pattern. So what do you think I've highlighted there? I thought the bits that I was reading were quite factual, weren't they? There was lots of information there. Also had some quite topical words like invading and empire and impressive armies. So have a think, what feature have I highlighted in purple? Okay, moving on to the blue highlighting. I've just only highlighted 2 bits in blue here. The first one is the invasion of Britain, and the second one is towns, and both of those are underlined and they go before a paragraph. So what feature have I highlighted there? Think about the features that are key in non-chronological reports to help you. So that's the blue, and then the green, I haven't actually highlighted any writing in green, but I have highlighted this picture over here and also these captions here, and the captions say straight roads and streets, including bathhouses, temples, aqueducts and amphitheatres. So what feature do you think I've highlighted there? So as I said, if you need to, just pause the video and have a conversation here. If you're working on your own, don't worry, just think to yourselves and I'll reveal the answer in just a moment. So have a quick look through that highlighting. What features did I identify in each colour? Let's have a look then. So in the yellow, it was the title, just that main title at the top, okay? Then the purple, I was right, wasn't I? I was looking at factual language and a formal tone. So all of those sort of topical words that tell the reader the facts about the Romans, that's what I was looking for in the purple. So that writing and language really makes this clear that it's a report and not a story, doesn't it? Okay, so thinking about the sort of language we use in reports and the formal tone. Then the blue, it was just these 2 headings in blue, wasn't it? And we call those subheadings because they're within the text, but they go before paragraphs. And those paragraphs that follow them are obviously about that subheading, okay? So we would expect to read information here about the invasion of Britain, and here we'd expect to read information about the town. So the subheadings are really helping the reader to know which parts of the text tell us about which different topics. And then finally, in the green, I had a fact box and bullet points, okay? And also a picture there, wasn't it? Okay, so just some key features in our non-chronological reports. Let's have a look then at some of these features in more detail. So what features has a non-chronological report got, and what doesn't a non-chronological report have? So you've got some options at the bottom here. I'll read through them for you, okay? And what we'll try to do is organise them into features that a non-chronological report has and features that a non-chronological report doesn't have. So just as with the last activity, if you're working in school or with somebody at home, you can pause the video and try and sort these into the correct columns, either just saying which columns you'd put them in, or if you want to, you can jot those in your exercise book. And if you're working on your own, don't worry, again, pause the video and just think to yourself, which features would you put in each section? I'm going to read through them now, so you can listen as I read through, but be thinking which feature is in a non-chronological report and which isn't in a non-chronological report, okay? So first person, so for example, if I was talking about myself, I went to Rome, I built amphitheatres, and then verses, a title, a resolution, to remember from our story planning when we solve the problem in the story, factual information, a conclusion, a brief introduction, paragraphs, chronological order, and a build-up. So which features does a non-chronological report have and which doesn't it have? So pause the video and see if you can answer this. Okay, I hope you had time to do that. I'm going to go through these now. So let's go back in order. First person, when I am reading a non-chronological report, do I use the word I? Well, I don't, do I? Because it's about the Romans, this one. And if it was a report about something else, it would be about something else. It would be third person. So it's not first person. So it doesn't have first person. What about verses? Well, the writing is organized into sections, isn't it? But do we call those verses? Verses are more poems, aren't they? We find verses in poems or songs. So no, I'm going to say it doesn't have verses, but it does have paragraphs. That's how the text is ordered. So I'm going to put that over here into the features that a non-chronological report has. Okay, so it is in paragraphs, but it's not in verses. What about a title? Yep, it has got a title, hasn't it? We highlighted that on the last page. What about a resolution? So when a problem is solved. Not really, that's more of a story, isn't it? A report it might report about problems and say how they were solved, but it's not really telling the story. So I'm going to put a resolution over here. It doesn't have that. What about factual information then? It definitely has that, doesn't it? We highlighted lots of factual information in our model text a moment ago. What about then a conclusion? Yeah, it does have a conclusion, doesn't it? At the end of a report, we would have a conclusion and an introduction at the beginning. So I'm going to put that over there too. I've just got two left to do then, a chronological order and a build-up. Chronological order. So chronological order means in time order, doesn't it? But this is a non-chronological text. So actually our writing's not organized in time order, is it? Our writing is organized in different ideas and themes like invasion or towns. So it's not in chronological order. And then a build-up. That's like a story really, isn't it? So build-up would go over here. You could say an introduction is a little bit like a build-up, but we wouldn't really use that phrase of a build-up. That tends to be in our story writing, doesn't it? Okay, I hope that's helped you to recall some of the features of a non-chronological report and remind you the features that we won't find in non-chronological reports. Let's have a look at what we're doing then. So your task today, I'm going to just change the screen again so that you can see everything we're doing. So your task is to identify the layout and language features in our model non-chronological text. Okay, so on the daily plan for today, I've put the text there for you. So the text should be nice and clear. I tried to make it as big as I can on there for you. So you can highlight straight onto there today. If you haven't got highlighters at home, don't worry, it doesn't matter. You can just use colour pencils or gel pens or crayons, whatever you've got to identify the different features in the non-chronological text. Just like we've done before, if you haven't got those colours, don't worry, just use whatever colours you've got as long as you fill out the key correctly to show me which colour shows which feature, okay? And now I've put the key on the daily plan for today for you as well. It's just under the text, so have a look there, and then don't forget to put the colours that you're using for each feature to show me which ones, which colours show which features, okay? Let's start going through together though. So a title. We haven't actually got the main title here, have we? The title was right at the top of the text and it was the Romans. I haven't got it on this extract, so I won't actually need to highlight the title here. What about factual language and formal tone then? We're definitely going to have some of that, aren't we? So let me find my green highlighter. Again, if you haven't got highlighters, don't worry, you can just use crayons or gel pens or colour pencils, whatever you've got, okay? So let's have a look. We're looking for factual language and formal tone. So we need to read really carefully. I'll read it through now. Listen to see if you can spot some factual language about the Romans. Towns. It is a well-known fact that the Romans built many towns around England. The largest one was London, which they called Londinium. Traditionally, Roman towns were all laid out in the same way. Each had straight streets shaped in a grid pattern with buildings like a bathhouse, temples, aqueducts, and an amphitheatre. Well, I think we definitely need that first bit, don't we? A well-known fact that the Romans built many towns. It's telling me it's a fact even, isn't it? Around England. I like this bit as well. The largest one was London, which they called Londinium. I think that's really interesting to know what London used to be called. It might be interesting for you to find out any local towns, what they were called. So there's actually a window company named after Gloucester's Roman name. So I wonder if you can find that out for me. let's keep going then. So we're going to find some more factual language. Traditionally, Roman towns were all laid out in the same way. It's kind of just descriptive there, isn't it? But this bit is more factual. Each had straight streets shaped in a grid pattern with buildings like a bathhouse, temples, aqueducts, and an amphitheatre. That's quite factual, isn't it? Let's have a look at this second paragraph then about empire building. Britain was just a very small part of the Roman Empire. Have you ever wondered where else the Romans conquered? They reigned all around the Mediterranean Sea, including parts of Africa. I'm definitely going to highlight that. That's definitely interesting facts there. Eventually, the Roman Empire became too big to rule very well, and therefore in 285 AD, the empire was split into two halves. That's interesting, isn't it? In 285 AD, the empire was split into two halves. That's definitely factual there, east and west. Around the year 410 AD, the Romans had all left Britain because the soldiers were needed to defend other parts of the empire. I think that's important too. Anytime we see dates and facts and figures, we really know we're getting into factual language, don't we? So around the year 410 AD, the Romans had all left Britain. I'm just going to leave it there, I think. Let's just go back to the beginning. Did I miss any bit here? So Britain was just a very small part of the Roman Empire. I'd say that's a bit more descriptive there. Yeah, so I think I'm happy with my highlighting for factual information there and formal tone. Let's go on to the blue then. I'll just change my highlighter. So don't forget to change the colour that you're using for these features today and put the colours on the key for me. So we're looking for subheadings now. They're really easy to spot, aren't they? Because they've come before the paragraphs and they've got they're underlined for us so we can see that they are subheadings, so we know what each section is about. Okay, so just two there for my subheadings. You might have more on your text today, don't forget, because you're doing the whole text. I'm just doing a little bit here, so there will be more than two on yours. So towns and empire building are my subheadings, and then pink, I've got fact boxes and bullet points. Well, we know that's over here, don't we, from the example we just looked at. So you can highlight nice and neatly around the box, and then I've got my bullet points. I think I'm going to highlight the whole bit. Okay, there we go. So hopefully that's helped you to see how you're going to highlight your text today. As I said, it's all on the daily plan for you and the key is there. So use what you've got at home, whether it's a highlighter, crayon, gel pen, just to show me which colour you're using for which feature, okay? And those are the features we're looking for. So when you come to do it, if you're stuck and you think, what am I looking for? I don't know what factual language is. Don't forget, you can come back and play bits of the video again, just to remind yourself, okay? You might like to pause the video on this page as well to help you, okay? So Emmett knows explanation texts have paragraphs. We're working on paragraphs for our target work, aren't we? So how can we identify paragraphs on our model text? We can't highlight the whole paragraph because we've got other highlighting in our model text that we will have done. So how could I show paragraphs? We're working on that. So it's really important that we show them, but how could we show them? What do you think Emmett should do? Let's have a look then. So we're going to use a ruler and a pencil or pen, whatever you've got at home, to mark down the right-hand side of the text, okay? I might actually do it on the left here because it's probably a bit easier for me, but so right or left, it's up to you, as long as you're showing how we are using paragraphs. So I'm going to change to a pen. I think I'm going to do mine in, I might just use black actually to show my paragraphs. So here we are, one paragraph here. I'll try and be nice and neat. You can use a ruler to do this more neatly than me. But there we go. Okay, so I'm just showing where those paragraphs are, okay? We're working on paragraphs, so it is important to try to show your understanding of that on your feature identification today, okay? So try, when you've finished highlighting the features, to show me the paragraphs with a ruler and pen or pencil. So just a reminder, we are identifying the structure and features of a non-chronological report. I wonder if you've got any tips now that would help me be successful today. What do you think our steps to success should be? How can I make sure that I identify the structure and features really well in my text today? So just give you a moment to think about that, and then I'll type up some steps to success that I think we should be looking for today. Okay, so I'm definitely going to need to read the text carefully, aren't I? I'm going to need to color code the different features and show the colors on my key. What else am I going to need to do? So I'm reading carefully, color coding the different features. So I'm going to say use the teaching video to remind myself what each feature is. So if you're stuck at any point, that's the brilliant thing about these videos is you can go back and play bits again, okay? So don't be stuck, just think, how can I help myself? What can I do? It's that brain buddy boss technique, isn't it? You've got to use your brains because you're in your home learning at the moment, but use your brain to think, I know I can just go back in the video and play that bit again and listen to what Mrs. Glue said there, okay? So I'm going to read the text carefully. I'm going to color code the different features and show the colors on my key. And I'm going to use the teaching video to remind myself what each feature is. And then finally, show my paragraphs or show the paragraphs neatly using pen, pencil and a ruler. Okay. So when you have finished today, don't forget to look back at the WALT and the steps to success. Do you think you've used those steps to success? Do you think you've met the WALT for today? And just leave us a learning pic to show us how you've got on. So all of the resources you need are on the daily plan for today. You don't need to do any writing into your exercise book. You can do it all straight onto the daily plan, okay? If you don't have a printer at home, I realize that's going to be a bit tricky for you. So what you could do is just write each feature in your exercise book. So if it's subheadings, you could write subheadings and then write them down underneath for us, okay? I hope you don't have to do that because it will be easier if you can print it. So good luck with what you're doing. I hope all the resources are there that you need. And as I've said, go back and play the video again if you need a reminder of anything, okay? Good luck and look forward to seeing what you've done later. Well done, Year 4.